Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dominic Peterson, aka Doug Zone 503, talking all things Oregon football. If you're not following, if you're not subscribed already, go and smash those buttons below to join the Doug Zone family where we're always talking Oregon football. At Doug Zone 503, simple search on Instagram or Twitter, whatever you're on. Go hit the follow button right now to get the quickest Oregon updates from me. I think it was a total of 7 updates this morning for Oregon football. It's been a busy news week for Oregon football. Okay, so we have a big time podcast. Very excited. I was writing the notes on it last night, just chomping at the bit to get to this pod because we got some recruiting coverage to talk about for the Oregon Ducks. Dante Moore visits UCLA. Dante Dowdell, is he going to Ole Miss? Is he going to flip? Is Dante Moore going to flip to UCLA? I'll give you my opinion and what I think on that here in this podcast, and then we're gonna get into it, into the meaty part of the pod. Top transfer portal targets for Oregon. Who does Oregon have to land? Who must they land in this transfer portal? They already landed 2 of them, an Iowa linebacker and Justin Jacobs, and then they landed Alabama wide receiver Trayshawn Holden. So big pickups in the transfer portal for Oregon already early on. Who else do they have to land? We'll talk about it in the podcast. Before we go any further, though, we've had some unfortunate news to talk about. Really, really sad news in the college football world and in the sports world in general. Time of this recording, it's December 13th, 9:21 a.m. on the West Coast here. And about 2 hours ago, we got news that the Pirate, Mike Leach, Mississippi State coach, has passed away from a heart attack. We got news about 24 hours ago that he was lifted up in a helicopter because he's in very bad shape, critical condition. Didn't hear much except, sending prayers out, hoping that he'll be all right. And comes out that he did not make it. Everybody has their time. It seems that the Pirates' time has came. Very unfortunate news. Prayers are with his family, and ain't much you can do except, just remember the good times and remember the lessons and the funny times. That's one of the most important things about Mike Leach is the funny times he brought to the game. So just going to go ahead and give a quick little 30 seconds about moment of silence for Mike Leach here. All right, man. RIP Mike Leach, man. Real big time coach, man. Unfortunate for that to happen. Okay, so enough with the sad news, man. Passings, prayers up. Let's get into the pod, guys. We're here for some recruiting coverage. We're here for the top transfer portal targets for Oregon. So let's go ahead and start out. Had a lot of people hitting my DMs when they seen that Dante Moore, 5-star Oregon commit, top commit for Oregon, no doubt, is visiting UCLA. Took some pictures in the UCLA uniform. Took a picture alongside Chip Kelly, former Oregon coach from 2009-12. And, the DMs were going crazy. The phone was going crazy. They wanted me to talk about this. So we're here to talk about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's just start it out like this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried am I that he decommits from Oregon and goes elsewhere? Right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 3.5. And I'll tell you why. Okay. If he does decommit and decide to go elsewhere, for one, I don't think it will be UCLA. I honestly think he's at UCLA because, there's a very few places that you'd want to be in December, in a cold December. And those are warm places, very hot, nice, warm, paradise places. Okay, you got to think about it. Dante Moore's in Michigan, cold Michigan. Going to LA for a couple days on a weekend during Christmas time doesn't sound bad, especially when it's paid for, right? So he goes to UCLA and checks it out. It seems like to me he likes the West Coast a lot. So come here and check it out. Okay, you got to remember, the recruiting process is a dream experience for some of these kids, right? Free flights, free food, free experiences to some of the best college campuses in the country. So You got to remember, okay, these guys, they just want to go ahead and check it out while they have the opportunity, okay? It's a lifestyle, right? But just because you're visiting does not mean you're going to commit there, okay? How many recruits have we seen that visited Oregon and they don't end up signing or coming to Oregon, right? This is just a thing that happens, okay? And and like I said, if he was to decommit and go elsewhere, I don't think it would be UCLA. I think it would be Michigan or Michigan State, any one of those hometown schools. Although he does seem to like the West Coast. But I don't think it's a big factor here. I think he's pretty locked in with Oregon. I think the only reason to have an eye on a decommitment is if Bo Nix was to return for another year. And that is the big if here. Nobody knows. Okay, he is playing in the bowl game, but he has not said if he's going to return for another year or not. So that will be a big thing. I'm not sure if it was pitched to Dante Moore, if this is a locked-in starting spot when you come here. I don't think that's a good pitch to have as a coach if you were to pitch that, but I think, if Bo Nix is to leave, I think Dante Moore definitely has a very good shot at starting next year. So I think if he's kind of wanting to start freshman year, Dante Moore, if that's his thing, then that could be a thing that leads him to his decommitment. And, checking out the West Coast, UCLA, there's going to be a position open there for year one. If they don't go to the transfer portal, Dante Moore could be their guy. So it could be a thing, but as of now, I don't think it's something to really watch. I think the best thing is for Dante Moore, and I think his coaching staff knows this as well, as if Bo Nix was to come back for another year, to sit behind Bo Nix for another year, for 1 year, Bo will have to be gone after next year, and really get that college development. Okay, this is the thing. Everybody wants it now. Everybody wants to start now, make the highlight reel, go to the NFL early. Okay, but the real development happens when you're able to not only develop what's going on the field, but develop what's happening in your scheme. What checkdowns you need to get to if this is happening. If this certain blitz is happening or anything like that, if there's certain coverage, we need to check to this. Okay, that's something that you have to diagnose mentally in the game. And that comes, through repetition, that comes through film study, that comes through playing on the field. And I think learning behind a steady made quarterback in Bo Nix, that would be very good. So I think all this talk about him going to UCLA is just, it needs to calm down. He's not going to UCLA. Like I said, how many visits do we see the Ducks get? A lot of prospects and they don't sign with Oregon. I think he's just visiting sunny LA in December. Who wouldn't take that, right? Overall, like I said, I'm not too worried. I don't think he'd go to UCLA if he was to decide to go elsewhere. Now, if Bo Nix does decide to return, Moore could possibly be on flip radar. Okay, Moore could be on flip radar because I don't know how bad he wants to really start. Day one. I don't know how important that is to him. I haven't seen any intel on that. So we'll try to transfer. I'm on the IG live. Shout out my people on the IG live as well. If you guys are locked in and live on the pod on IG, you guys get all the podcasts live before it even gets uploaded to you guys. So got to be on IG, guys, at Dougson503. So Big Huncho 3400 asks, so Ty would transfer. In my opinion, I think Ty would definitely transfer if Bo Nix was to come back. If Ty does not transfer, I think he likes his chances against a freshman that has no college experience. So we'll see. If Bo Nix decides to return, I think Oregon might if Dante Moore decommits, if he really wants to start year one, I think they would have to go look into the transfer portal for a backup quarterback for Bo Nix and then, play this game. I think Dante Moore is a big one to lock in. But him going to UCLA, I don't know if I could see that. I think he's more realistically to go to Michigan State or Michigan and stay in his hometown. But as of right now, I give it a 3.5 out of 10 on my worry scale, just because that 3.5 for me just comes from if Bo Nix is going to return. At this point, we don't know if he's going to return. To me, it makes more sense if he was to go to the NFL. But if you're going to play in your bowl game and risk injury, right? Doesn't make sense. So I think we might see Bo Nix return. And if that's the case, possibly could see more on Flip Radar. Possibly. But as of right now, I don't see it. I think he's enjoying his time in LA while he can. All right. Now let's talk about this one. 4-star running back Dante Dowdell was seen with Ole Miss gloves in his last game. Posted it to Instagram. Is he going to flip? A lot of people have been asking me, what's up with Dante Dowdell, man? Does he want to be an Ole Miss? Where's the Duck gloves? I've seen a lot of reports, a lot of articles on this about Dowdell flipping to Ole Miss. Okay, look, Mississippi, that's his hometown. He's currently ranked the number 3 player in his town, according to 247 Sports. Obviously, the Rebels would like to have him. I know Dowdell would love to, probably play for Ole Miss, but, I think his father, okay, Hopkins, Lord Hopkins, Lawrence Hopkins is his name, I think. I think his father's real locked in with the coaching staff here at Oregon. I think they've pretty much locked in. I think his father has a big say on where he's going to go and where he wants his son to play. And I think his father's is pretty locked in. And what do you know? In state, in home visit comes Dan Lanning, running back coach Carlos Lachlan. They go in state to Dowdell to make sure he's locked in. And they all post the picture. Every single one. His dad, Dante Dowdell, the coaches. They all make sure that picture's seen. And I know that Ole Miss has been steadily trying to get in Dowdell's ear, but I think Dowdell is certainly locked in with Oregon, no doubt. So a lot of, rumblings. It's what happens right before signing day with the recruiting classes. Signing day is vastly approaching in about, I think, less than 8 days here, where early signing day where guys can lock in. Schools are trying to make their late time pitch. Dante Moore takes a visit to UCLA. I don't really see him flipping there, even if he was to flip. Still waiting on news on Bo Nix for that. And then Dante Dowdell, as seen wearing Ole Miss gloves. Again, I think he's just showing some support to his hometown school that he probably watched growing up, coming from Mississippi. But I think he's locked in with the Ducks. I think his father's locked in with the coaching staff pretty well and have a good relationship there. Okay, so getting to the meat of the podcast here, guys. So top targets for Oregon football for the transfer portal. Who does Oregon need to get in the transfer portal? Who are some of the top targets? They've already landed 2 off to a great start, getting a linebacker from Iowa, Justin Jacobs, and then they got Alabama wide receiver Trayshawn Holden. So big time holes being filled at positions of need. What are some other positions that we need? Let's just start with offensive linemen. Okay, that's day one. Oregon needs offensive linemen. They're losing a lot of offensive lineman production this season. Their starters are pretty much all gone. So they're going to have to look to young and up and coming guys that they've developed. And then they're going to have to look to recruiting. They're going to have to look transfer portal to add on to the depth. And they're going to have to get guys that can play day one. Okay. That's the most important thing here. Top offensive line prospect portal in the portal is a Johnny. I hope I'm saying this right. A Johnny Cornelius from Rhode Island. Nearly had 20 plus offers from schools day one of entering the transfer portal. So if you're getting 20 plus offers on day one, man, that name is hot in the transfer portal. So top O lineman prospect in the portal at this moment. Very high priority for Oregon. They're going to need guys that can immediately play. They're going to need to add depth, because like I said, a lot of starters are leaving. Cornelius took a recent visit this past weekend, so Oregon is definitely targeting him hard. They've offered him, so be on the look for top offensive lineman prospect Johnny Cornelius from Rhode Island to see if he can miss the Ducks. Already took a visit, so keep an eye on there. Okay. Offensive lineman, we're not giving up on this one. Offensive lineman Jeremiah Byers from UTEP. Okay, UTEP, obviously this one has ties with former UTEP offensive coordinator, now new Oregon offensive coordinator Will Stein. Stein comes from UTEP to the Ducks now. Hopefully an offensive lineman can follow Stein to the Ducks and Jeremiah Byers. Like I said, Oregon will need bodies up front on the O-line that can immediately play. This one is definitely one to keep tabs on, okay? Another one, defensive back. Okay, secondary has been really weak this last season. You lose your basically your best defensive player all year, and Christian Gonzalez to the draft. You're gonna need to replace that, and I think you can get that with defensive back Kyrie Jackson from Alabama. Added nearly 10 plus offers on the first day of entering the transfer portal. He's the former teammate of Alabama transfer Trayshawn Holden, who just committed the Ducks. Both took a visit this last weekend. So we got Kyrie Jackson on campus as well. Very important to replace Christian Gonzalez, who was going off to the NFL. As you see, Oregon, was able to get Christian Gonzalez from Colorado, small school. Christian Gonzalez is a great player, but how much do you think he's really going to be a first-round pick if he plays that well at Colorado, a losing team? No, I don't think so. He came to Oregon, did his thing. Oregon's a winning team. He's going to be a first-round pick, maybe even a second-round pick if he falls a little bit. But you get my point, right? High pick. I think they can do that with Kyrie Jackson. So keep an eye on that one. Last but not least, Oregon. It's never too late to keep adding wide receivers, right? More wide receivers, the merrier. Okay. Dorian Singer from Arizona. He was the leading wide receiver in the Pac-12 this last season in receptions, okay, and yards. This addition would make Oregon's wide receiver easily the most talented I've seen in a while if they were to add Singer. USC is pushing hard for Singer. They do want Singer really bad. Given that Oregon did take Holden from Alabama, I think Singer might be looking elsewhere from the Ducks. But nevertheless, I mean, if they were to add this guy, that would just make this deadly Oregon wide receiver room even more deadlier than it already is. So those are a few guys actually that you can keep your eye on for the Ducks in the transfer portal. A lot of you guys were asking me to give you updates on some of these recruits that the Ducks are looking to lock in before signing day. Holiday Bowl is vastly approaching. Okay, we're about, I'd say, 15 days away from the Holiday Bowl here. So I think about next week, once we get a little closer, I'll be going ahead and give you guys my preview and prediction for that one. All right, as always, guys, you guys know what to do. Make sure to like and subscribe and share the video if you love Oregon Duck football. Also at Doug's on 503 to get the quickest updates directly from me. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you guys. Go Ducks.